We're at another episode of the Courage Chronicles with Shane Wenzel from Shane Homes. On this episode, we're talking about lessons learned from a life in business. Let's get into it. Hi there, my name is Curran, and I'm one of the co-owners of Local Laundry. Come join me on the Courage Chronicles, where we interview different people on their area of expertise and how they became successful and how you can learn from their success. Welcome back to the Courage Chronicles. Last episode, we talked about Calgary community and how it shaped Shane Homes and Shane himself, but also more importantly, how Shane Homes has shaped Calgary. This episode, we're going to talk about a little piece of courage that it took along Shane's journey in building Shane Homes. So thanks again for coming on and chatting with us. What was a moment of courage along your journey, either maybe in your more junior years or maybe something a little bit more recently?
Yeah, you know what? There's lots of those. Like I said, I couldn't identify just one specifically, but let me start with one that when I was younger. You know, it goes back to when I was the marketing assistant for the company. So my boss is my father.
Yeah.
And what we used to do at the time was we used to advertise classifieds in the Calgary Herald. All the builders did. So these little classifieds that you had to come up with copy on. And I think I was fresh into my job by about 3 months, and my father let me do this. And I just wasn't confident enough in what I had written out for it, so I needed him to proof it for me because the deadline was Wednesday at 12 noon, because that was how it got printed in the Saturday Calgary Herald. Deadline Wednesday at 12 noon for copy. I couldn't get a hold of him. I couldn't find him anywhere. I couldn't find him at a show home. I couldn't find him at his home office, and I was pissed. I was mad. And
what age were you?
I bet you I was about 20 years old.
Yeah.
So finally, I got a hold of him, but it was the next morning. It was too late. It was too late to change anything. And, he said he was coming into the office. When he came into the office, I kind of gave him a piece of my mind, which he took in stride, credit to him. But, he finally calmed me down. He just said, look, I don't make all the right decisions all the time, but at least I make a decision. And that's all I can ask you to do. Just make more right decisions than wrong ones.
Yeah.
That was the most important piece of advice I've ever had from him.
It's so important. I love that because we can get stuck in paralysis by analysis,
That's exactly it.
And I've seen it time and time again. Sometimes you make the wrong decision, but a wrong decision is better than no decision, 9 times out of 10. And the times you do make the wrong decisions, you're going to learn from them.
That's a learning opportunity itself, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, what a good lesson to learn early on.
Oh, yeah. Trust me. Like I said, there were lots along the way, but I think that one of the next most important ones that I learned from was becoming president of the company.
Yeah.
Again, that's you talk about scared. Holy hell.
Yeah, what age were you?
I was late 30s when that finally happened, and when my father presented me the idea, of course I jumped at it.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, what a great opportunity! I get to be the president of the company now.
Yeah.
But talk about scary.
Yeah.
This isn't just the mom and pop shop with 35 people working at it anymore. This is a company that is now over 100 employees.
That's 100 livelihoods.
100
families.
livelihoods. 100 people I'm responsible for. You've got single family assets. You're working towards multifamily, which was a direction I was trying to get the company to move more into, was having that marketplace. We have land investments that you have to review and manage, and you have other investments that you're managing that may or may not be related to housing.
And these aren't even just these are the company, but these are your family's investments.
Yes.
So it's not just regular shareholders. You got family members, your mom and dad breathing down your neck.
Yeah. So I would say twice the pressure.
No question.
And, like any role, I think I wasn't totally comfortable for the first year and a bit, and it takes a while, especially in a family business when your father's the founder and the CEO of the company still. you're trying to justify everything you do, which is difficult. You know, my father had an aversion to multifamily in the beginning because, you know, he understands the simplicity of single family and how quick it is to turn it around, whereas multi is more of an investment. Same thing with land. Long-term investment in land could be 10, 20, 30 years. So you're trying to convince them of a lot of things, of why we should invest this way. You know, because we know that the market's changing, cost or pricing is going up, so you do need that component to remain competitive in the marketplace. But land especially, because you're looking, like I said, 10, 20, 30 years out. There's a hell of a lot of money at play. And it's scary for him. I realized that eventually. It's scary for me because I could be making a very expensive decision that's wrong.
Yeah. And it's going to impact all those lives that we had mentioned.
Yes.
So how did your dad kind of, you know, when you were faced with maybe a decision that he didn't agree with, how did he kind of present it, and how did you guys reconcile it?
I think, you know, it even goes back to that original example I gave you when I was younger, you know, about making the right or wrong decision. And his rationale was, you've got to make the decision. We've got to move forward in this respect. And, you know, the difference now is it's not a little mistake, it's a bigger mistake.
Yeah,
Just don't make too many big mistakes.
It's not a classified
right.
copy. It's
Oh yeah. So I mean, he was right when it came down to that. You know, and you try not make those mistakes, but you realize after time,
mistakes are going
to happen. It doesn't matter what level you're at. You just have to make the decision. You can't be paralyzed, as you said, and not make the decision in any respect. You have to keep moving forward.
Yeah, and when you make a mistake, that's when the real decisions come in. How are we going to make this right? How are we going to fix it?
Yeah, how are we going to get through it? And to be honest, you never lost that much money, if any at all, from making a bad decision that way.
Yeah.
We always came through it at the end of the day, so.
Yeah, I think your track record speaks for itself. I mean,
Yes.
You guys are still here in your 45th year now,
Yeah.
you know. And I think it's so important to have, you know, a dad, because most CEO succession plans, sometimes, you know, the old CEO doesn't give the space for the new CEO to make those decisions and to make those mistakes, you know. So, you know, credit to your dad, who, it sounds like, gave you that space and gave you that room.
He has, for the most part.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's a family business, you know, so you're going to run into these issues where we have disagreements.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's okay.
Well, like he said, you know, it's fine. You know, we're going to disagree. We're going to get loud when we disagree, but, you know, we'll come through it at the end of the day. We're still family. We're still friends, so.
How would you say your leadership style is different? What kind of leadership did he have versus you, or is it the same?
Well, he always jokes. He calls himself a passive dictator. I would be more kind of collaborative.
Okay.
You know, and I think, you know, with my father, Cal, you know, that passive dictatorship worked for a time, you know, as the company was growing. And when you're coming out of the 80s and the 90s, I mean, you need that style of management in order to grow. But as you get to this level, there's a lot of moving parts. I can't make all the decisions.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to instill confidence in your executive and your management team to make key decisions.
And trust in their decision.
It's a bit of a mentoring process as well, which is quite interesting now, especially when you start talking about succession again.
Yeah.
You have to grow their confidence and knowledge of the business so they can take over.
Yeah, it sounds like where the company was a startup and where your dad took it, that's the type of leadership that was needed for a startup and for a company of that size.
Oh yeah.
But as you grow in a company, you know, where
it has to change.
It has to change, and this approach is much more effective, you know, for a company of this size.
Exactly, it is. You know, and you know, I'm still in the know on a lot of things, but there are some things I don't know.
Yeah,
and I can't. I would never go home at that point.
Yeah,
but that's why you hire the most competent people, and they fill those gaps. They feel my shortcomings the same way that I might fill it for them.
Yeah, and not to get too personal or with family, but was there any, you know, because it says you have siblings. Was there any kind of challenge there when your dad went to go pick the next president and he chose you? Was that difficult, or
no?
You don't have to. I'm just curious.
No, I don't think it was too difficult. Although, like I said, we went through testing.
Oh.
Yeah, we you know, there were a few people in the company, you know, who weren't family members, who who we all went through the same kind of testing process, and there was a couple of us that could have become the president of the company.
Oh, interesting.
My father felt more confident in me because he really believes in the family business.
Yeah.
And he wants to keep it going from generation to generation to generation. You know, so you know, I came out as president of the company, and
Wow.
you know, he's comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But it certainly shows you what kind of talent that you have internally, and you know, the confidence that they have to even to stick with it and be a part of something much, much bigger.
Mm-hmm. And any advice for entrepreneurs today who are starting their own business, running businesses? What would be your biggest piece of advice for entrepreneurs in Calgary?
Grow slow.
Grow slow.
Grow slow. 10%. What's wrong with 10% a year?
Yeah.
You know, because it's too easy, I find, when you're growing a company and you grow too quick, you know, because the opportunity's there.
Yeah.
And when things slow down, how are they going to slow down? Are we going to slow down gradually, or are we going to drop off a cliff? And I've seen that happen far too many times, where companies grow too quickly, they can't handle the work, the cliff comes, and they've got nothing in the reserves to keep themselves afloat. So what's wrong with 10% growth a year?
It's so funny you mention that, because I'm such a believer in that. You know, don't get too greedy.
Yes.
You don't need to scale. And I think because what gets glorified in the news today is these companies raising millions and scale at all costs. And it's like, what about profitability? And it's like, forget about that. And it's like, you know, but that's always been our mentality, is to grow slow. So it's really inspiring to hear you, and reassuring more than anything, to hear you kind of say that's your number one piece of advice.
That's the advice my father gave me. That's the advice I would give anybody. You know, so same thing with Dallas, moving into the Dallas market. Sure, I'd love to be up to 300-400 sales a year and quick. That's not going to happen. That's not the smart way to grow. So we'll get there gradually, but it'll take some time.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Shane, where can people go to find you to find more information about Shane Homes?
Just go to shanehomes.com, or on any social media platform, just type in Shane Homes.
And then follow us for the next episode, where we're going to ask Shane, the very final episode, we're going to ask him how his work has influenced the Calgary community. See you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching the Courage Chronicles. If you want to find out more information, click that big old link down below, or check out YYC Calgary Business, or you can even check out our clothing company, localaundry.ca. Thanks so much. Hope you have a great day. Bye for now.